Okay, so yeah, basically, my really come to Jesus moment awakening on the responsibility carrying, on my shoulders about this process, this message, this outreach became very real to me last night again, right? Because it's not like a one-time thing for me, God has been speaking to me over and over again in different times, different places, through different people, different ways. I mean, it has been like a rewind or a replay of the same message over and over and over. Okay, so it's really nothing I have a choice to run from, because it's chasing me down. And it's okay. It's okay. I am going to be out here, and I am going to put everything else aside, because I know a lot is riding on lives, souls are riding on the awakening, okay? And I cannot be selfish and disobedient to the Creator and act like I'm not seeing, living, and breathing what I'm seeing, living, and breathing, right? So I am going to take that responsibility. I'm going to take the preparation and the experiences, and I'm going to do something with that. And I'm going to honor God and honor who created me in doing so. I want to be clear. This is not about glorifying myself. This is not about wanting any credit for myself. This is not about any validation, loss of identity, any clapping, any self-gratification, any influence for selfish gain. It's not for likes for me. It's none of that. I really don't have to do this, because I'm putting my own life, right, not only at risk for attacks, but I'm putting my own life on display, right, to be judged, to be transparent, to lose a sense of privacy, to not even be able to live and speak freely the way, privately with whoever I want to be with. I'm also, this is not about a man. This is not a pick-me moment. None of that. In fact, when you're a woman who shows a level of masculinity by speaking in a lead position as a leader when it comes to spirituality, I mean, it scares men. They respect it, but it's different, and it's a lot, especially if they're not prepared for it. So there really isn't a benefit. I know that the culture has this narrative about things and reasons why people do things and put themselves out there. But I just want to be clear that this is not about me, that this doesn't really benefit me. I mean, it does in a spiritual sense with God, being obedient to Him. It really does. And it benefits me by seeing something different in this world. It does. But it doesn't benefit me in the way that the culture thinks this conversation or these topics will benefit me. So now that is said, okay, I feel like I can go ahead and share my experience last night in church. There was a sermon, and it was about generational curses, and I've been really digging deep into this past year. The attack has been tremendous. I mean, I was literally tapping out. I was exhausted because you're coming against really heavy forces of evil. I could not believe the circles that I was coming across and having to push through. But I'm a fighter, and I pushed through them. I felt one of the things that was really important when the person who was preaching and asked, one of the things he was reporting, he had asked all the youth to come up to the front for, prayer, because it's important. And they all came up to the front. Everybody was hugging each other. Everybody was crying. And I came up, and I was in the corner, and all of a sudden God said, I need you to hug every single person on this line and tell them they are loved, and hug them. Female, whatever, male, doesn't matter. Just hug each one of them and let them know that. Why I felt a sense of urgency of doing that is because I know what it's like to not feel loved. I know what it's like to feel rejection, and I know what it's like to feel like, I'm alone. And so if there was 1, 2, 3 out of the 25 youth that were in the altar that had a sense of that mindset, because they were different, or maybe they're being bullied at school or whatnot, I wanted to be able to tap into that one person that was already absorbing that. Reach that person with that message. So I know exactly what God was trying to do through me. So I continue. I've gotten now to about 4 or 5 youth members in the line, giving them a hug and letting them know in their ear they are loved. And when I looked, I was one of the young ladies was holding on to me really strong, and she was crying a lot. It started to seem like she really needed that. And I knew that I didn't have a lot of time to get through the rest of them, but I knew that she needed more comfort. And so I stayed there for a little longer and started ministering to her. And when I look up, all the other youth members were gone. And I felt heartbroken for a split second, because I said, dang, I didn't reach my goal to get to every one of them. And then the gentleman who was preaching, who was talking about the sermon, he tells everyone, hey, look at your neighbor, give every person next to you a hug, and let them know you are loved. And I was flabbergasted, because I was like, oh my gosh, what I wanted to do, God delivered the same message, and it's happening right now, real time, for me to see that what he told me to do was going to happen regardless. And I truly felt a special touch from God at that moment. I literally flew from one side to the next. It was too spot on for me. It was too real for me to not be moved by that. I ended up falling to the floor, crying my soul out, screaming in surrender, saying, okay, like, fine, I'll do what you're asking me to do. Hysterical. In surrender. Complete surrender. So I get up. When I get up, I'm still crying. I'm sitting down in the first row. And the first person that comes up to me and has a seat next to me and starts hugging me is my niece. My niece, who's a teenager now. My niece, who I saw as my own when she was first born. My niece who looks like me. My niece who was born during the time I lost my first child. I took care of that girl. I felt I gave the baby life that I lost through her. Her and her mom and I got pregnant around the same time, and I knew it was a girl. And you'll know more about this testimony when it comes to the loss of this baby. But I felt like the birth of Annalise was God giving me kind of like an opportunity to still have that life present in my life. And I just became more hysterical and more woke and looked at her and said, oh my goodness, the responsibility on my shoulders for you at this very moment in time in your life is now. And if I don't do the work that I'm called to do, God forbid you get lost. I'm sorry, I'm losing my phone here. God forbid you get lost in the circles of broken relationships and people and endure even half of the battles that I have overcome when it comes to this rejection piece.